folks. So welcome to our 19th South Carolina Inventors Forum meeting. Friday is National Inventors Day. Congratulations. This was in honor of the important role played by inventors in promoting progress in the useful arts and in recognition of the invaluable contribution of inventors to the welfare of our people. The Congress has, by public law, designated February 11th National Inventors Day. It is also Thomas Edison's birthday. So we're looking forward to celebrating that, but a little bit of a unique way. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. I like to start off, as we always do, by saying our Pledge of Allegiance. And so I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball.
Play ball.
Now, don't forget, February the 11th is a very important day, but February the 14th is Valentine's Day. All right, so don't forget that. You know, it's just, you can forget National Inventors Day, but don't forget.
I think your wife would probably have a preference to remembering the Valentine's Day. Indeed. All right, well, we are here because, in fact, our forefathers thought it was going to be a smart idea to let people own the rights to their ideas and prosper from it. And they put it in the Constitution. Only place in the Constitution the words right is actually used. It was Article 1, Section 8. We'll be talking about this a little bit later on today, about how some of those words have actually been slurred and changed by Congress. And, well, we'll get to that a little later. All right, we're starting off as we do now. I thank all of our supporters, past presenters. Doug Lamberry is one of our sponsors, a fantastic IP attorney. Lindsay Brooks is an amazing marketing person with focus groups and getting marketing products. Our local manufacturing expert was John Carrington, who's done 3D printing and brought the protective service devices to market really successfully here in town. We've had Marty Wilson. Matter of fact, today I recommended Marty to Tim, who's looking to find some applications for his software stuff. So Marty's general manager of Flex here, one of the biggest assembly plants here in the Midlands. Is that probably the biggest manufacturing plant in the Midlands?
No, it's not the biggest manufacturing plant, but it's the largest contract manufacturer in the Midlands.
Contract, right. Chris spoke before. He spoke again last month on manufacturing as well, with operations pace. We've had marketing expert Michelle Dugar talk to us about marketing here in the Midlands. Our friend Warren Tuttle, who's been the past president of the UIA and is on the National Innovation for Expanding American Innovation, which actually is to invite women and more minorities to become inventors. Their initiative is to double the number of inventors in this country. He's also the author of the book, Inventor Confidential. Our friend Satish here in town, who's an expert in the Internet of Everything, was one of our speakers, explained to his process bringing his mosquito technology to town. Our other friend and partner here is Dr. Thaddeus Jones, who's a wonderful videographer and has been helping us with our videos. He'll be speaking, I believe, next month. We've also had the presidents of UIA and USI come and talk to us about some patent issues, of which we'll speak about even more tonight. I think a lot of you were real impressed to meet Josh Malone, a father of 8, who created the Bunch of Balloons, the most successful toy product on the market the last couple of years. And he's an advocate for inventors' rights as well, because some of the experiences he had to endure in the path to bring his product to market. Last month, we were really delighted. We were able to have Michelle Nadishoff speak to us about manufacturing, not just in the US, but the whole world picture and the costs and implications of doing work in China. She's quite the expert and has written the book, Can Manufacturing, American Manufacturing Be Saved? Which is an excellent read on both the history and ideas in mind of how to change things and move things forwards. She's also with the San Diego Inventors Forum, and so she's she's on our sister club on the other side of the country. Chris again came back. It was glad to see him talk more again about his manufacturing expertise, and we was really most delighted to see our very own Mr. Tom Levitter gave us a talk about what manufacturing is about and how it's going here. And it was again, very local and direct, but it's still a very worldview, and it was delighted. I found out, Tom, you did a TEDx talk
Yes,
a couple of years ago on the
Well,
workforce.
it's probably about 6 years ago now. Yeah.
2015,
Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look that up because I love TEDx talks. I used to treat myself to that every year. So we've been delighted and privileged to have all these great speakers, and tonight's well, something different. I will be the one filling your ears for most of the evening, but I promise it'll be worth it. So anyway, to get started was what we like to do is have a couple moments because of the way the world's changed and our country's changed, and our concerns about how we're going to do something, and even if we can, have been really challenged. And so I bring Brian on as a great speaker. He's a motivational speaker. John Maxwell graduate and runs Lightning in a Bottle, and is a fantastic motivator. So Brian, if you would, we would love to hear what you have to say.
Okay, guys, can everybody hear me all right? Apparently, you know, this whole Zoom piece with muting and unmuting, one of my business groups that I was in, it was always unmute yourself. So I had the great pleasure of speaking last week at the Building Industry Association Sales and Marketing Council. And one of the things that we talked about was if you follow TEDx talks and those types of things, you know who Simon Sinek is. And we talked about the great resignation in manufacturing and just in the workforce today. And Tom, since you've been talking on this for about 20 years, you'll know what I'm talking about. And basically what has happened is people that don't feel valued have, over the years, there's been a digression because we haven't poured into our people. And I'm making the correlation back to what you guys do with as inventors. And the question was, can manufacturing in America be saved? And my answer is yes. And here's why I say this, because this great resignation, what happened when COVID hit, is that people realized that, you know, when you don't feel valued in a job previously, folks would say, well, how's your job? And they would say, fine, because that's all they had to hang on to. So for many of you as inventors that have jobs that you have to hang on to, what COVID has done is forced people to realize you have the capability and the capacity to do other things in your life. So the word I'm going to give you to go along with this is determination. You have to be absolutely determined and convinced about what you're doing and what you're pushing forward, and you have to be relentless in making it go. So I have a great opportunity this year. Chris Guerrera and Carmine going to get to go on Made in America with those guys again, and I'm bringing one of my clients on that I'm working with right now. We've had the same discussion because labor is a problem in America right now. And it's all because of this great resignation. There's a great resurgence. So for inventors, you know, how we handle manufacturing from this point forward really is going to impact inventors and what we do with new products coming out. So I just tell you that to say, my firm belief and everything that I know is that there is going to be a renaissance of manufacturing in America over the next 15 years. I've seen it, I've been watching the trends, and I'm telling you, Made in America is going to mean something again, and inventors in America.
From your words to God's ears, let me tell you, Brian, that would be wonderful. And that's
You muted yourself.
Oh, Brian, you got muted there.
There you go. All right.
There you go. Now you go. Indeed, Brian. And, you know, that's very true. One of the company I was at for a while, the best salesman we had there, he did a seminar, and his exact words were the secrets were drive, determination, desire. Exactly. The 3 Ds, he called them.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, I'm more excited now than I've ever been about it. So just be encouraged for everybody out there.
Well, 30% of those great resignators apparently are starting their own business now. And a subset of that are people that have invented something, and that's the key, that's the cornerstone of that new business. So yes, I as well have witnessed a few decades of this up and down with the economies, and it's always the people that are the bravest, that when the going gets tough, they're the tough that get going, and they pull up the bootstraps and get things out there and going. So yeah, we're seeing a resurgence. And we're glad to be, we're in the position we're in here because it's clubs like ours that are offering the best advice people can get for free. That's really important because most of the rest of the industry is just sucking up people's money. And that's actually a sham and a shame. But that's not what tonight's meeting's about. You can talk to your friend Chris Landon, who's running Inventor Rescue about those regards. Brian, I thank you so much. Well said. Here's how people can find you, and your best site that you like people to join you on is which one?
Yeah, you can join me on the John Maxwell site right now, the one that's up right now, I believe. We got a new site coming up, jbrianpearson.com.
Oh.
And that should be up probably by the spring. I will tell you this, third quarter this year, Tom, probably pull it on you a little bit too. We're going to have, we're going to be videoing a TEDx type talk, but we're going to be inviting some people out to get a live audience out. And one of the things we're going to be talking about is determination. I'm going to be bringing in some world-class coaches and would love to have some of you out. So be paying attention. And
I would love to be there. All right, because I'll bring my book so I can get you to autograph it for me. All right. So,
well, I may need you to be one of the speakers, Tom. So just be paying attention.
Things to think about is part of the Great Resignation. You know, you got people leaving to go here and go there, and as you said, many of those folks in the Great Resignation have come to grips with the fact that for the first time in their work careers, going to work was life-threatening for them.
Yeah.
All right. And they said, I don't like these terms and conditions. So they're saying, I want to work from home, or I want to start my own business. And entrepreneurship, and I have coined the phrase intentional self-employment. I don't use entrepreneurship anymore. I call it intentionally self-employed. And that's the determination that you're talking about, Brian. That's what you have to be intentional about being successful in a small business, or you will fail.
So I'm going to leave you guys with this, and then I'm going to jump off real quick. I worked in the corporate world for a long, long time, and I was asked by my neighbor down the street, we were out walking tonight, and he said, I thought you were retired. And I said, well, I did. I retired one day, and my company has taken off like gangbusters. So, this piece of entrepreneurship, you really have to work it. You got to get out there, and you just got to be so determined you're not going to fail. So I just encourage you guys, get out there, get with it, be determined, and let's go.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you, Brian.
Okay. See you guys later.
Okay.
All right.
Take care. Stay
warm. All right. Chris, where are you located?
In Charleston.
In Charleston. Okay. All right. You're down in the Silicon Harbor then, huh?
I haven't heard it called that. That's great.
Oh yeah. Well, we touched on a lot of things that really are the core of the whole American dream, but it does take persistence, drive, determination, desire, all those things, laser focused, any way you want to put it. It takes on all the effort you can, but the fact is we have the freedom to pursue that is what one of the wonderful things about living in America is, and why many immigrants still risk their lives to come to this country is for just that chance. So I thank you, Brian, for sharing those moments. And tonight we have a little bit something unique. A lot of times when we talk about marketing, we're talking about how to bring a product to market through the normal channels, which I would call the big box stores or shelves. Maybe a lot of people aspire to get the thing on TV, and the direct response TV market is, of course, huge. But there's plenty of videos about that out there, and a number of people that had gotten the success are quite happy to boast about it and come back out and share their knowledge. What I'm going to share with you tonight is a little bit different. It's more about how to bring a high-tech product to market. So this, my background in particular has been things like thin film technologies and medical devices and industrial controls, things that still need to be marketed to come to market to produce revenues, but it's done a little bit differently. And there's some similarities. I'll share all that with you. We're ready to go. We're ready to start. And here it is. Okay, folks. So yes, if you didn't know me already, I am an artificer. I'm a hired inventor, or I'll develop some of my own projects. It's led to over 18 patents now, and I have started up about a dozen companies. 3 were thin film, 4 were medical devices. My own product development company is California Product Developers, where we've developed about 300 working models of things for people that were trying to bring a business to market. I'm showing this because a lot of times the discussion is about what are patents and what are they worth. These are my 18 patents. I'm not going to go over all of them other than to say the ones that are in green, they made money. LEMR meant that it was a licensed exclusive manufacturing lifetime, license manufacturing for 2 years. In other words, a lot of these I developed for somebody with exclusive rights to manufacture it. I have a manufacturing plant in San Diego. So that's why a lot of those were green, is because I put up the development costs out of my own pocket, but then took the ride on getting the exclusive rights to manufacture it. So some of these took off, did great, did millions. A few of those haven't gone anywhere. It was a proof of concept, and most of them have died to the side. The ones in purple actually started off great and then changed channel and made somebody else buckets of money. So it's actually out there, but I don't have the ride. And the top 3, they're just not ripe yet. So we'll see where they go. I described this further in another lecture, but that's for tonight. So yeah, a brief shot of those 300 things. The top row are locking shopping carts, voice activated switches, genetic research tools, aircraft systems. Middle row is medical products, and the bottom row is alternative energy. And I need to change that term. It's renewable energy, because there was the whole problem. One of my inventions was thin film solar cells. So far ahead of the time, they're still calling it alternative energy, and so we didn't get the boost that today they use by just branding it renewable. The marketing aspect of a lot of these was simply the matter of making a working model and showing people and going voila, and their jaws drop and their wallets open. I mean, it was being able to convey that there was a solution for the problem that they had realized, and had actually, a lot of these, they had realized the problem. They knew they had a in on the market because of connections, but they had no wherewithals to develop something. So I was hired to produce that part of it. So small sample of things. I do talk about this. I have been on podcasts and videos and some movie things, and there's so many stories involved. So I'd love to get interviewed and fill you in on what's been a really joyous life of inventing and creating. So, as I said, I have a passion for a couple of things in particular. Medical devices, it's a specialty. It's not like any other product because it's actually controlled by a federal regulation. So from start to finish, everything's paperwork, and there's a little engineering in the middle. When you're done, you've got all the paperwork and design history files, and you submit it. Hopefully you'll get approved, your product can come to market. So there's so much work to get done before you even can introduce the product to the market fully. You can sample the product. My other passion is helping fellow inventors. So the story I'm going to tell you tonight is where all this combines. I am sorry to admit, you guys aren't my first. I did have another Inventors Forum before. It was the San Diego Inventors Forum, and it actually started in 2005. It became very popular. We have the exact same mission statement, the exact same one. I cloned actually the club here. That is to assist inventors in protecting their IP and connecting people, motivating, educating, connecting. So with that in mind, this is what would happen. This was a local IP firm that would let us use their meeting room, and the IP firms would constantly call me going, please, you'll use our IP, use our room. So here's a meeting for around 50 to 60 people. All these people there are interested in bringing an idea to market. And if you see right in the very center, the lovely blonde lady's taking a bite out of something there.
Mm-hmm.
That is a nurse anesthesiologist by the name of April King. And April went to our presentations, and she contacted me afterwards. And April had a product idea that she had in her pocket since she went to USC, the other coast USC, for 10 years. She had this idea for a product. The need was this. She's an anesthesiologist. When you're sedated, your throat collapses, and they have to lift your head and put it in a position called a sniffing position. And the whole manner of rotating the head is something that's taught, and it takes weeks and weeks. So she thought to herself, there's got to be some way to do this that's hands-free. And the reason being, when she's actually in the operating room, she's got to keep the head up. She's also got to adjust the controls for the gases. She's talking to the doctor. She's administering. She's doing 9 different things. It's a juggling act. So coming back and getting that head back up was one of her concerns. So her idea was, I need a way to keep the heads up. She even thought of the name for it. She said, I'm going to call it a jaw elevation device. It's the JED. I went, okay, I get your idea. I see it. I went in my garage. I made a little model. Well, that's what inventors do. You take what resources you have, and you kludge something. So this was a simple little working model with 2 axes that moved. We went and showed it to a friend who was the head of anesthesia for USD Medical. He almost fell on the floor when he realized what the potential was for this, and he decided to help us with this working model, with him on the board and with some coaching on how to pitch. We raised some seed money. The seed money went to, I did my own little study on what the motions were, sketched the basic concept, and put it into CAD drawings. With these CAD drawings, and again, the head of anesthesia from UCSD going, this is a good idea, we were able to raise the funds to make the models. So these drawings went to conceptual drawings, again, CAD. The CAD drawings detailed down, drilled down, finally got to design for manufacturing drawings. And lo and behold, we started 3D printing parts. So this is the first model we made. Now we've got a major head of a hospital, UCSD anesthesiology, and he is actually an entrepreneur himself. He brought the prone view to market previously. So he had been successful in bringing a product to the anesthesia market. So what we've done is acquired a board member who's now our champion, who's commercialized products before. We have an actual working model. We filed just the provisionals at this time, and it was time to see what the reaction was going to be and how this was going to sell. So we made these models. We did some initial tests ourselves and found out we could put a head in the sniffing position and leave it there, and the head would stay, in fact, in place. And this whole device is plastic. It's MRI compatible, so anybody going in. And the number of cases, I think there's something like 24 million monitored anesthesia cases a year. So there's many times that this device had the potential of being used. We, again, took these pictures, and then we approached somebody named Judy Balian, who helped us create these graphics and design materials, and went to, a trade show. Yes, sir, the secret has been, I found very successful trade shows. My previous experience with other medical device companies, Surgitech, for example, was a company that made devices for monitoring people. It was actually one of the first wearable devices. We went to trade shows to make the world realize there's something new. Anyway, here we are. This was our first one. This industry is split into 2 halves. The nurses have their own industry, the registered nurse anesthesiologists, their own industry, their own trade journal, their own shows. And then the doctor anesthesiologists, they have their own business trade show journals and everything. Nonetheless, we had bridged the gap by actually bringing in a doctor onto our board to help support this. So here we start off, there's nobody there, you know, what is this? Nobody's seen it, nobody's ever heard of it. What the secret of this whole event I'm about to show you is in the left-hand corner right there in the middle. I don't know if you can see it, but if you zoom in, it says free, a Starbucks card if you fill in our questionnaire. All right, so here we are, a brand new company in a huge market, new product no one's ever seen. We need to get some information. So we put this up there, and lo and behold, yes, first day, by the way, that's Dr. Maisie, and he was there, you know, showing this was something he would believe in. And we got, you know, a couple of people the first show. Second show, a few more people are showing up. There's interest in it. They're looking at it. We're starting to get some news out in that industry. And then, you know, by the third show we are the buzz of the show. So we didn't do anything else other than these major trade shows, but we became the center of attraction. We created enough buzz where the distributors were calling us saying, we'd love to be the distributor for your product. So that was the strategy. At the end of the last show, we actually had 100 questionnaires filled out, and 100's a nice numbers, you know, logistically to plug into spreadsheets and pie charts and all that stuff. And we had some amazing graphs, numbers, and actual testimonials from doctors who went beyond just filling out a questionnaire and told us what they thought about it. What that led to was a deal with the largest manufacturer for airway devices in the country at the time. And the numbers there you see are real. We actually closed about a $450,000 for half of the first year's royalties deal, which paid for all the rest of our patents, the rest of the FDA work we had to get done, tooling. That tool you've seen there, I actually got that done in Oceanside, California, cheaper than we get it in China. That's another story. The packaging and office operations, this was all launched because we went to the trade shows, impressed the heck out of them with the data we had collected and the statistics and the numbers. So where I went from there, LMA in fact put it out. Hospitals started using it, but it wasn't a top 5 seller on LMA's list. LMA actually got bought out 3 years into our contract, and the next company that bought them only took their top 5 products. So since it was a license agreement, we got the license agreement back. So everything that went on to develop it further, as far as marketing materials and everything, we got back. And April then turned around, raised a little more money, and brought in a distribution team. But at the very first part, when I was still involved, we got it launched. We were ready to get the offices open and started. There she is, it's hands-free. She's in major medical centers now, showing up to the top anesthesiologists in the world. And let's see. Yeah, we won some awards. San Diego Connect is very much like a CRA here in town. We won their award for the best new medical product of the year. And we got trophies and have things that get dusty on shelves. No, we're very proud of it. What I think is the proudest thing is this here. I'm going to kind of walk up and do it this way. This is the cover of her trade journal magazine, American Anesthesia Nurse. Anyway, she's on the cover of her trade journal magazine a couple of years later. So it was a great ride. And it is still in the market, on the market, and she's still bringing in new distributors and has gone international. So one great American dream. All right, let's go for 2. Ready? Okay. I am proud of this one, especially because this was my idea, my patents, my tech, my company. Idea is a Greek word meaning health. And so this was a process I created and a machine I designed and built a factory around and built these machines. It's for treating diabetic foot ulcers. Actually, I first envisioned it as a way to treat burns, but found out there's twice as many foot ulcers. It's actually a bigger problem in the US than any cancer. It's about every 20 or 30 seconds, there's an amputation in the US. The morbidity rate's horrific. Anyway, it's a byproduct of diabetes, and we haven't figured that one out. So, well, this is a product that started by me putting together a mock-up What you're seeing right now was first actually just a janitor's cart, some aluminum foil, and a cappuccino machine hole I put together, and it was a kludge. And I took it to what was called Tecos Angels. It's a local angel investment group. Boldly walked up and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about my idea here. What do you think?" So to speed this up, the gentleman I met was quite intrigued, and he introduced me to his friend podiatrist. And here's really the start of the story. Cliff Wright looked at the thing, said, "Interesting. Those are the essentials for wound healing. Why not? Let's try it." Early adopters are the key. What Cliff did is he took 2 of his patients that were called chronic because they had gone 6 months, everything they had tried, standard care had failed. He took 2 of his patients that had wounds 6 months, put them on a machine, and they healed in 2 weeks. He saw that, his jaw dropped, and he went, "Okay, where do I invest and how do I get on the board?" Yeah. So we knew we were on the right path there. So with just that little bit of data and the confirmation from the doctor, we put together a presentation. I went out, Tecos Angels raised about $350,000 on the first round and another $250 on a second round. This machine was built all per FDA specs, and I put the factory together. I had 22 workers. We put 20 of these machines all around the country. Nurses were calling it a miracle on wheels. It was just fantastic. So I'll show you what we did with all of that. And the problem, though, is brand new technology. This did not have a billing code. A billing code is the Hail Mary as far as when Medicare can actually get a billing code, they will pay the bill and then people get paid. It's a good thing.
Third-party billing.
Yeah.
Third-party
Without that, you're kind of being creative on ways to, I actually charged insurance company directly, and they were happy to pay me because they were seeing an end of this endless path of payments they had made. So there were ways around the billing code, but it's still the whole point of the matter was getting the billing code. So I'm going to show you now a presentation. Imagine now I've done enough trade shows. I'm standing now in front of a group of 400 people. These are the best medical advisors and experts in the world that are coming to Orange County to talk to TechFest. And this is where the buyers and the people of the industry are looking to find new technologies. So I've got 2 big 30-foot screens behind me. I'm on a stage, 400 people in front of me. This is the presentation. Yeah, that's a picture of somebody's butt, and they're getting a treatment for a wound they've had 15 years, and we healed it. The insurance company was more than gleeful to see the end of that payment train going. So that's not how I would start the presentation, but this is the presentation. So there are statistics. By this time, we had found that our process was healing 70% of the ulcers in 12 weeks and 90% in 20 weeks. It was avoiding costs of further treatments, further surgery. We can reduce costs. And by the way, I'm doing just a really quick abbreviation because it's a rather long presentation. So the point was we were putting out the data, statistics. By then, we've been cleared to market by the FDA. We had patents pending. We had proven results, and a p-value of 0.001 means that there is less than in 1 in 10,000 chance that our data was in error. We accomplished this by doing the study and using the statistician that was world renowned in figuring these kind of P numbers on small sample sizes. Using meta-analysis, we could tell by dozens of years of data that standard of care just didn't do this. We used meta-analysis as a comparison method, and it was quite brilliant. And you'll see what the charts show. There's the chart. We were 3 times more effective than the standard care and healing wounds up to over 80% at a 20-week mark when most things are less than 40. So this was a small wound example that this fellow had at 6 years. We healed it in just a couple of weeks. But the real story was this, that, and this is his testimony for it. He had actually had treatments for over 6 years, different wound centers. Nothing's working. He even gone to the biggest wound center in Irvine, UC Irvine, and they couldn't heal him. And our doctors put him on the system, and it healed in 6 weeks. So yes, this did make news. Even early on, before we were fully marketing it, it made a lot of ripples, and professionals were starting to call us with some interest. Sorry, it's a little bit more graphic, but this is how horrific a wound we were actually, in fact, able to heal. People had actually scheduled amputations, took a chance to get our treatments, And in fact, saw wounds heal that no one ever seen wounds before. Matter of fact, we have got wounds worse than this where you can see holes through the foot that we actually healed. So it was quite remarkable. I figured, gee, must be a better way of doing this. So I considered this idea called results-based reimbursement. And I went to Washington and lobbied Washington saying, why are you guys paying for treatments that don't work and have a p-value of 0.05, like absolutely the same as a placebo? Why aren't you just paying for things that do work and you'll save money? And anyway, I met a lot of nice people in Washington. We didn't get that implemented, but again, I made some good contacts. So hey, yeah, here's the value proposal. The patients are going to heal faster. Professionals will have a revenue stream. They'll see their patients heal. Medicare costs will go down. Yes, we had study and data and charts and published this all. Well, that was a version of the company. It turned into Cure Care. The company then, I'll say, it hit a 20 million valuation and took a little detour and got acquired. It just got acquired. I'll leave it simply at that. The company owns it now. If you're interested in looking up, it's called Vaporox. They're in Denver, Colorado. They have built 100 of these machines now, and they got the billing code. That's the whole big deal. So they raised enough money to do the study all over again, proved it works even better than I saw, and God bless them for taking that technology and bringing it to the world. I'm hoping they will see what other results it can provide as far as burns go, because I did off-label tests with burns. We had 10 patients with laser ablations. It's a very controlled facial treatment with using a laser. We had them all heal in 2 days, no drugs, no pain. And that's usually 10 days to heal with a lot of drugs. So we saw the effectiveness on burns as I had first imagined. And so anyway, a lot of hope and promise for vaporous hyperoxia therapy. All right. The next thing I'll tell you about is something for pets, which I'm very proud of. A gentleman approached me, and we don't like our pets to hurt, and yet giving them drugs isn't good. And so he asked if I develop a light therapy product. Well, here it is. LumaSoothe is a dynamic light therapy product. I designed it on my kitchen table. We made models, and the marketing for this, there's the same thing. You get materials that help brand your company. So when you show yourself, you promote yourself with statements, with backgrounds, with information and facts. You describe to people what the science is. In this case, it's about dynamic light therapy. I was able to provide the technical information about the power, the wattage, what the different what different wavelengths of lights are helpful for. So there's two different heads on this. One's a deeper infrared heating, and the other one's more on the surface. So we built the models, put all this marketing information together, and what did we do? We went to a trade show. Yeah, the pet industry is huge. It's a $100 billion industry. And same thing, you get the booth for 25 to $5 grand, depending on what, and you have to stay a night or two, and you set it all up, and you got your display stands, and you do your spiel, and you get people going, I've never seen that before. So, you get the reaction instantly to the exact crowd that needs to see it right away. It's not shotgun. It's exactly right into the heart of your industry with the key people that are looking to buy new products, trade shows. Now, I'll give you a little more spiel about trade shows here in a minute, but let me just finish this. So yeah, we talked about the science of wavelengths, of lights, and all this fun stuff. What really made this thing sell were the testimonials. So they put up a website, and they got it on the trade show, and we had 1 or 2 distributors to get some first early adopters going. Then they put it on Amazon. Amazon, it took off, and the testimonials are what made this thing sell. The testimonials are just glorious, and the people that they've seen their dogs suffering, limping, hurting, saw the results, and were just so proud of, so happy to see that they had found a solution. So it was the testimonials that really made it rocket on Amazon. It took off well enough that they decided to ratchet up, and they took it to Chewy. Chewy.com is one of the biggest online marketers for pet products in the world. Chewy gave us what's called a haircut. So they took the price here of what was $149, and they knocked it down about over 10%. but now it's selling on the biggest platform in the world for pet products. My part in all of this, as far as work goes, was done in like 2 weekends, as far as working on the, the kitchen table, and the royalty checks come in once a quarter, and they're 4-digit checks. So I don't mind.
But this is the what is the size of a
Tennis
the
ball.
head's the size of like a jar of peanut butter, top,
It's a little small. Whole thing's like a tennis ball size.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
But there's 2 heads.
Yes, sir. You can unscrew it. Snap. Well, it's bayonet one end and bayonet the next one.
Okay. But one device and 2 heads.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And some of the technologies, I didn't dwell on it, but some of the other technologies, this will be coming to a human soon, because some of the pulse technologies are unique. So that being said, again, the trade shows.
And it is battery operated.
Yes. Oh, and it's rechargeable. Yes.
Okay, rechargeable.
Yeah. Little USB.
So that means it can
connector.
get wet. Can it get wet?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wow.
Good question, Tom. I'm saying,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, well, I never dropped it in the toilet, and I
but
don't know
think,
for sure, but
one of the
I
things
think
that,
so.
that people do with cats and dogs that,
Oh,
to help them feel better, they put them in a warm bath. All
Oh,
right.
yeah, yeah. And then
And-
treat them after.
And or not bring them out of a warm bath and want to do this treatment, right? And have to wait a couple hours for them to dry. So
It's all sealed. The little
Yeah.
panel on the back, it's all touch screen, and it's all very sealed. The only opening is the USB port.
okay.
and little buttons on the So
I've known you for almost 2 years now. I didn't know you did this kind of stuff. Okay.
well, there's an interesting coincidence, because the next presentation I'm going to give you, her product is a light therapy product to help you remember a positive mantra. And we got that patented. I didn't bring the brochure on that, but I've worked on a number of light
Okay.
therapy things. So anyway, this is the LumaSoothe. And so, yes, it's doing well now, and they're looking at, because the step to take this back to FDA is, again, back to the whole starting from scratch as far as medical products go. There are billing codes now for dynamic light therapy products from the FDA. It's because there are FDA product codes for light therapy devices. It's actually been around. NASA was doing this way back when they were putting pain. Astronauts say you had to have something for a little pain, and there were deep red infrared pain patches that they use. So yeah, your pets don't have to live in pain. It's not an OxyContin commercial. It's actually, I watched that show last night.
Chris might be a doctor. You might,
Oh,
we
sorry.
didn't ask him what he did.
No,
Right.
I didn't.
All right.
Yeah, your pets don't have to live in pain. Try the LumaSoothe. Okay, well, that's again another way of, I like to say, expressing imagination's fun and profiting from America's greatest rights. So that's our presentation for tonight on marketing. I will add this right now as a supplement, because another club leader sent this to me today by coincidence. She does a lot of trade shows, and she wanted to share this. So these are 9 points about trade shows that are pretty valuable. After her 15 years of experience, I'm going to say she's pretty right on. Number 1, don't let anyone offer to help unless you know them. The teams that work the show are very subtle on offering to help and then sending you an invoice. Yes, there's a group called the Freeman, and that union runs most hotels. So when you go to a trade show, watch who's going to carry your stuff and set it up, because they can get you on expenses like you're not going to imagine. Second, if you have to have any work done up front, there's naturally a charge. The surprise is that there's also a charge on the back end for even the smallest judge, like unplugging something. Yeah. You can buy a TV as a monitor and give it to charity when you're done for less than renting a monitor at the show. And number 4, when you pay for a booth, you have to remember that it's just empty space, nothing. You have to pay for the carpet, the tables, the trash can. There's a charge for vacuuming the floor. Now, I've been in trade shows, and it's only $800. They don't care how you load stuff up, how you bring stuff in, anything, as long as you don't set the place on fire. Basically, you're free to operate. Other places, though, especially if they're really fancy convention centers and ballrooms, you can hardly do anything but stand there and then pay for everything else to be done around you. So, all right, next is you'll get more out of the show if you use online social media options. Pay to let people know you're there. Number 6, don't give your stuff away. The tchotchkes thing. When I do a trade show, we put out pens because they actually advertise the name of our company. And I tell people, you're gonna have a great idea. When you do, look at that pen. We'll help you do it. So it's an advertising tool. Most tchotchkes though are just, everything from yo-yos to squeezy balls, and they don't do anything to bring any attention to you, your service, or your product. So you can tailor down on the junk stuff. 9, if you have actual samples, you give those to the folks that count. Don't give them to the folks that do count. Because again, read their tag. Are they a student or the head of purchasing for a major company? Guess who should get your working model for your samples? You usually go to these trade shows with loss leaders. These are things that actually cost a lot, but if the right people see them, that's the connection that'll make their mind. Those freebies, freeism, there's a term for it. When you let somebody try something for free, they're a lot quicker to Number 7, if you have actual samples, folks that count. Number 8, keep your space clean. And 9, don't do it alone. And she didn't add this because, well, I don't think she would have thought of it, but a lot of guys like to use these things called booth bunnies. Yeah, you'll have big crowds. No, you're not going to get any leads. You might as well just open up a phone book and rip out a few pages because those are worthless numbers and names. So anyway, those are some tips on trade shows supplied to us tonight by our co-inventors club leader, Rita Crompton, the inventor lady.
Let me share, if you got just a minute, share a trade show secret. And this happened a long time before you got here. South Carolina is internationally recognized for its ability to attract industry and field workforce. One of the things that we attracted was Bose Corporation. Out off I-77 North, going towards Charlotte, Blythewood Road. Bose built a 350,000 square foot manufacturing facility.
Wow.
They made from plastic compound to finished product, the acoustic wave radio and the Acoustimass home stereo system.
Oh yeah,
which was the top end. All right. The economic development guys here in middle of South Carolina said, we want to use you at some international trade show that they were going to. And it was in Denver, I think it was. All right. They bought a mailing list of CEOs of major companies around the United States. And they sent every one of them a Bose surround sound system controller.
Oh, just the control.
Just the controller. And said, when you come to the show, stop by our booth. And if your remote turns on, you get it. And they said, we're going to have 5 of them to give away.
Wow.
93 out of 100 people that they sent this thing to actually came to the
What a
booth.
draw.
And the marketing association gave them the Innovators Award, for their activity. But no program like that gets 93% participation.
That is amazing.
And folks were happy. The guys that won it were happy. I mean, it was shipped straight to them from the factory. I mean, it was a high water mark for Central SC Economic Development Authority. That was probably 2006, 2007, somewhere in that range. Right. But unfortunately for the local area here, Bose shipped all their manufacturing to Mexico. All right.
Well, that was last month's story, and
last month's story.
But it's a current story as well, and it's a plague. But we're hopefully seeing some of these companies.
That campaign was a stroke. I mean, it was.
That's brilliant.
Genius,
that's brilliant. Sure, that sure is brilliant. What a great way to have a draw and a sample. Well, thank you for sharing. Excuse me again. We don't have to stand and salute. I'm a veteran, so excuse me. I can't see it enough. All right. Next, this is actually almost self-explanatory, so I'm not going to speak much over it, but it's a great presentation that Judy Bailey gave the Inventors Forum back in San Diego. Judy is herself, as I said, an inventor. She had read the book The Secret, which is about having a positive mantra, and then Oprah Winfrey made it a big deal. So it was quite a wave a few years ago, the whole idea of positive affirmations and so on. And she had an idea, well, why don't we create a device that would remind people to have this? So her idea was have an affirmation alert. And I actually work with her. I'm actually named on the patent with that. It flashes at a frequency that causes your 10 hertz, causes your brain to go, I'm remembering something. And we made desktop models. We never put the actual bracelet though into full production. It may still happen, we'll see. I hope, Judy, if you're listening, that there's still life in that project and hope as we move forward. So point is, Judy has written a book on your mind on marketing, especially written for us engineers that really are usually, the other side of our brain. We don't deal with people and know how they work. She realized that is a deficit and wrote this book, Your Mind on Marketing, to help you understand and actually make it almost an engineering challenge to figure out how to make the marketing work. This presentation she created and she showed, and this is called about focus groups. And the saying that we led this off with is a focus group can make $1 million or save you $1 million. And I saw at least 1/3 of that come true when I witnessed once a young couple that came from Texas out to California, showed us the product idea. They had spent $350,000. They had gone through making the patents, making the models, making the presentations. They'd only gone to their product developer to get a focus group done. So they thought it was a great idea. And no, they came out to California hoping they were getting investment money. And we all looked at it going, didn't anybody ever tell you, you don't cut the bread this way, you cut it that. So yeah, save $1 million or make $1 million is really true when it comes to focus groups. So anyway, here's a presentation about it. A couple ways to get the information for focus groups: quantitative and qualitative. By the way, I will share this so you don't have to take all the notes. If you're taking notes, I will make this plenty available and it will be part of the video later as well. So you need the market research because product development, the definition for product development begins with a sentence, bringing to the market. That is what marketing is. Bring to the market a customer accepted idea from initial concept through design and manufacturing. The customer accepted idea part, though, is so essential. And so many people come to the market without having realized or done any work to really find out who their customer is. Do they really want it? What they would pay for it? I have suggested in a couple other meetings that there was a fantastic presentation done by Dr. Harry West. It's a YouTube video. He invented the Swiffer duster and he innovated that without any experience himself in mopping. He did it by creating focus groups, essentially, asking them what the issues and problems were, creating devices that they empirically tried over and over until they finally had a winner. So there is approach to this, but it all comes back to what is a customer accepted idea. So all this stuff about marketing, and even if you remember what I was saying about my wound treatment system, with that little survey card, we figured out exactly what was it that these doctors really wanted. What did they see that they liked? All these aspects. What was it worth? How often was it going to be used? So the market research portion is so important. So I have paid to have focus groups done on consumer products. One example, this gentleman invented a chopstick, a replacement for a chopstick. But instead of holding it with your fingers and that weird contortion thing you got to do with your hands that a lot of people can't, it's kind of like a tweezer. And so you had to push it in to open it. And then when you let it go, it held the food. So it's kind of the opposite. Mm-hmm. Well, at the Inventors Club, we're all friends. So it was biased. And the majority of the people in our little club went, oh, that's a great idea. We did a real focus group. And as explains here, the research we needed was really qualitative and quantitative. Research comes from, as you've seen, group surveys, and there's new ways now. A Survey Monkey is one online that for generic questioning of things, especially census data, it's free. You can pay for a more elaborate one, but Survey Monkey is a great way to get basic survey research done. But when you have to actually put something in your hand and see how it works and hold it, that's a whole different story. So focus groups, best are a set of small groups, as you see here. The one I did, I had 2 groups of 17 people at a Chinese restaurant that we didn't own. And they ran through and they all tried it. And at the end of it, we had less than 7% acceptance. We went from one pain in the hand to another. We found out that holding this thing was more of a pain than it was. Just quite enlightening. We found out that no, let's not put $150,000 into tooling tomorrow, as this guy was really ready to do. He was chomping on the bit, and we actually saved him $150,000 with like a $3,000 focus group. Well, it can go the other way, and you can get amazing information and feedback and suggestions and features for improving the product that really make the product what customers want, not just what you envisioned or what your pet peeve was solved. Well, somebody else wanted the other thing that would make it really work. And I have unfortunately seen people, again, going to China, getting a whole boatload of stuff made, ship it over here. They can't sell it at the swap meet for what they paid to have it made for, because they missed some basic feature thing that it would have been obvious if they had shown it to a crowd. Case in point, you've got documents, you want to keep them safe, probably, right? You might have a safe for it. This fellow's idea, we have fires in California. We have 3 seasons, green, brown, and fire. So we worry about these things. So he created this box. He called it doesn't matter. He went to China. It was plastic, number 1. Number 2, it wasn't fireproof plastic. Number 3, it wasn't waterproof. Comes over here, tries to sell it, and he finds out people want a box that's 1, fireproof, 2, waterproof. And no, it just didn't sell. It was a nice way to have a very large, dumb suitcase. So yes, a little focus group would have saved him. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands he went there. Well, so those are the advantages. Disadvantages are you really want to have it done professionally. Don't do it yourself. Your biases, your friends' biases, it all bleeds in. You can't avoid it. Even the tone of your voice. Worst case scenarios, you see people where they're behind one of these silver mirror things, and the owner of the invention comes out into the room. And he starts arguing with the person who gave him a bad review. Okay. Yeah. It can get emotional. So you really need to detach yourself and wait till the report comes back in writing.
I go back one right there. Just in my experience, your first one is the quality of the questions is going to drive the quality of the answers. Right? You know, and you say, okay, hey, you interested in this?
Shiny.
I can be interested in anything. All right, and interest is not, you're not asking the question right.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about here is the basis of the value proposition of the business model canvas that's used today. All right, and because you're driving it not from your perspective of what's value, but what the customer sees as valuable.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yes, those questions are critical, and getting the right people in your group. I think it mentions it here. So who are you going to call? You want the truth of warm fuzzies, quite simply put. The participants, who is your target market? Because you're wasting your time paying people to get an opinion that would never, ever normally consider even think of your product. So again, those trade shows are great because there's the nest of the people that are in that niche, exactly. And there's a trade show for every industry. It's incredible. There's big ones coming up now in home and garden, hardware, golf, sporting goods, pets. They all have their trade shows now that we're seeing those trade shows coming back now. Obviously, COVID did put a damper on all this, but they're reemerging. So yes, here's the main thing: finding the participants, getting a large pool, and getting creative. It says parking lot surveys. That reminds me of Lindsay. Again, she is such an expert at going on a boardwalk or in a shopping center, off to the side somewhere, and setting up a little 10-foot square canopy and a display, and just creating her own little miniature show in the middle of a consumer area. And people are attracted by the noise, and they see what's going on, and they get involved. And she's pitching, modifying the pitching, asking questions. It's a fantabulous, that's a word, a way to see what people's reactions are to your product and idea. And so I always comment Lindsay's expertise in doing that, and her successes are, as you know, quite enormous. So yeah, that's the next thing here. Find the professional moderator. Yes, it does need to be someone other than you. Even your microfacial expressions could hint people off into thinking, ooh, he doesn't want me to think or say something like this or that. So just get yourself out of it. You'll have really clean data, unbiased as possible. So what a real moderator will do is put all this together, ask the right questions, and give you a real report. What's the value of a real report? I think that's coming up, but it's that you can take that to your investor. Once you've passed this hurdle, you've made a few working models, you haven't gone to full production because you still need the money. So let's see, I think it's coming up. Use a professional moderator. Don't do it yourself. Don't ask your friends. Don't even be in the room. Okay, yeah. A neutral place, right? Again, they don't want to see pictures of your family on the back wall going, oh no. So what does it cost? Yeah, it's some costs, but you know, frankly, again, for what's at stake, it's again a very excellent. It can be the most important investment you make in your product development cycle is getting this sort of work done. So what it's done, the center line is what I thought was the most valuable. This makes data that your VCs and your investors can look at going, you didn't do that, you had a professional do it. Aha, okay, you're not BSing me. This is really, you know, it's a lot more credible, especially if the numbers are significant. So again, going back to what we did there with Hypnos and the 100 questionnaires, it got us, that was our marketing, that data, showing it, presenting it correctly, checks were in the mail. So it becomes a part of your business and marketing plans. And yes, your value statement is a huge part of how your whole business will be formed and move forwards, because this data you received was what made your, was told you what your product really needs to do to be a customer accepted item. So focus groups, research data, census data. Okay. Well, if you have questions, you can contact my friend Judy. I've put in her most recent phone number here, and she'd be delighted to help you. And as I mentioned much earlier, again, perhaps with Hypnos, the display materials that were in that booth, the graphics, also the terms, the communication, the wording. She is a wordsmith. She's an English major. She's actually got a degree in psychology. So she does do an excellent job in doing the creative works and the writing for your marketing materials. I forgot to bring it. I knew I'd forget something. She helped me create one of my company's, all my marketing materials, from flyers, brochures, signage, all that stuff. So that's from Judy Billion. Thank you, Judy. All right. So
Chris, how about putting your email address in the chat so that I can get this presentation or whatever from Adrian and send it to you. Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation.
That way. And
great.
Chris, you did email me this afternoon as well. I remember.
Yes.
So we'll have your emails one way or the other. Okay. All right. I think we're on time, on track. Yeah. Actually, break time. You can take a stretch. I'll keep it going because I do want to wrap this up by 8:30 because our dear friend here has already been. I appreciate your time, Tom. I appreciate your time. Okay, so next subject, a little bit off track, but really to a core of a very important matter. If you follow me on social media or on other websites, and I didn't actually come up with this idea, but a lot of inventors are so fed up with the patent office now. There has been talk about a boycott. I finally reached an impasse when they couldn't stop the director Vidal's nomination. I realized this has just gotten out of hand because that's a director who's going to do worse damage than any of the others previously in terms of making things harder for inventors, independent inventors especially. That director cut her teeth and made her fortunes in Silicon Valley and is still entrenched and is actually participating currently in lawsuits against independent inventors. So I was very upset about that. Why boycott the PTO? Well, put it in all one graph. Here it is. America had a great patent system. Our forefathers again came to this country realizing that, you know, in England, they didn't own their ideas, and maybe the king would reward, but usually not. And they came to this country going, gosh, if we have a system where we incentivize people by giving them the profits to their ideas, people might want to do great things. And in fact, they did. It became the largest job creator the world has ever seen, the US Patent Office, when you think about it. And the freedom to promote progress and create a useful art and to keep that exclusive right was so unique in the world. And we saw our country grow, and people immigrated here, and you know the history of America and all the great inventions. Well, things took a turn when corporations united, and they became people. Citizens United became able to do things, and the corporations started realizing that they were paying monthly fees for royalties that was actually tapping into their bottom lines. And since corporations run by bead counters, that actually started to matter to them. So they're going, well, why are we paying inventors royalties? So they came up with a ruling and went to the Supreme Court and said, gee, us big companies, we're getting hurt and our bottom lines are hurting. So the country is hurting because we're having to pay people royalties. Actually convinced the Supreme Court that was correct. And they changed the laws about how inventors can sue for damages if people infringe. So the ruling was changed, and now you have to pass a public test. If you're not producing more than your infringer, they will give the infringer the rights. The infringer will then give you the worst royalty agreement you ever could have gotten, basically wiping you out. This was so disincentivizing. It was insane, but it just got worse. They used that terminology. They created a terminology and a mindset called trolls in Congress. The definition of us inventors that don't have manufacturing set up, haven't brought in investment money yet for marketing, really haven't launched, but we secured our IP so we could talk about it, and so that we could, in fact, try to promote it. Well, 2011, they passed what was American Invent Act. Congress was lobbied over, was hundreds of millions. The GAFA Mafia, if it's called, Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon especially. And a couple congressmen, Toons, Killis, and my favorite, Darrell Issa, got a bill, American Invent Act passed in 2011. And that was to stop the trolls. They changed a number of regulations. First to file became first inventor to file. It also changed it from 17 years after the patent had issued to 20 years from when it was first filed, which means if you spent 10 years in the patent office trying to get it issued, that just ate up your patent life. The rulings changed from when you first used to have a time period that you could go out and talk to things, and then they go up to almost a whole year retroactively and saying, this is when I invented it. And that changed the time period. So as soon as you showed this to anybody, especially in public, it started the clock. And, you know, frankly, there was less than 2% of the patents ever that were challenged as far as who was the first person to file it. That was really never a big issue. But what this did to the mindset, one, was it made people so afraid to talk to somebody, knowing they could talk to a service provider saying the idea is terrible. They leave the guy's office, he goes on the computer for $65, he owns your idea now. They became so afraid of that. My 30 years of talking to inventors every Thursday, thousands of inventors, all of a sudden they were coming in with crappiest little NDA agreements that had they were worthless pieces of paper. They had no time periods. They had no definitions of what the subject was even about. And they'd get mad at me because I wasn't even gonna let them talk to me about their ideas. They were so concerned about this new ruling, first inventor to file. I stood in front of Darrell Issa when he was explaining this to an open town hall meeting. And I said, Darrell, why are we doing this? And he says, well, this is the rest of the way the rest of the world does it. And well, Darrell, why are we dumbing down our system? Why don't they up theirs? And oh, well, we have to make it conventional. The rest of the world was the argument. Well, UIA passed, and it passed along with it some of the most horrific things ever to happen. And I'll explain a few here. The biggest thing was PTABs. PTABs is actually a division inside the patent office now. Now there's 250 attorneys that work inside the patent office, and their job is to invalidate the patents that have already been issued. There is a simple procedure now because of what the American Invents Act did that allows a company for $20,000, $30,000 create this process called a PTAB. The estimated costs right now are between $400,000 to $800,000 to defend it. Most inventors, they're starting up, and they can't afford that, and they roll over. It's wiped out thousands of inventors. So I was just going to dwell. The last thing was oil states, a Supreme Court decision. You know, I started off this by saying you've got the rights to your ideas. Well, it's now called a government issued franchise. These are public rights now, they're not private rights. So, okay, let's go back here. So this is a 2011 American Invents Act. I actually, that year, told my Inventors Club, uh-oh, look what's coming. And I brought in some amazing speakers. Dr. Ron Kasnelson, he's just too brilliant. Anyway, we were taught, we were instructed, we didn't realize what the impact was going to be. 2015, it had gotten to the point where they were passing more worse laws, as you can see some of them. One of them was going to be called HR 9. HR 9 means these bills are numbers of when they're going to be, let me get my cursor over here somewhere. There it is. There it is. Okay. Hey, TK, good to hear you. Just talking about what's going on in the patent world now, and some things that happened in the patent laws have been really challenging us. In 2011, the American Invents Act passed, a few other acts, and so it came down to 2015. There was a bill, HR 9, and HR 9 means it's the 9th bill of the year. It's that high up on the ticket that they are bound and determined to get it on the docket and get it passed. HR 9 had actually passed the Congress by 352. HR 9 was going to make it that if you were involved in one of those patent investigations I was telling you about that USPTO created, if you had been in one of those cases of which 84% lose, and if you in fact lost, HR 9 was going to make it that you were going to have to pay all the attorney bills, and if you couldn't, they would be able to pierce the corporate veil and go after your investors. Now, this is crossing so many lines that it's incredible, but imagine that your investors are going to get sued because you got caught in a patent case that was, it was nonsense, and it was scaring investors away. And so this bill is ready to pass, 350 in Congress out of the 400 already passed it. It was going to go to the next stage. And so what happened is the gentleman on the top right-hand corner called out to all the Inventor Club leaders he knew across the country. I'm the one there. The dozen of us here, Louis Forman is the head of Edison Nation. Warren Tuttle was the head of UIA at the time. We dozen showed up and had the very first meeting that the United States Congress had ever seen in its history of 200 and something years of inventors coming in to speak on the behalf of inventors. They hadn't heard a single word except for from lobbyists crying on their shoulders about America's losing profits because inventors are taking money. We're having to pay them royalties on things, and they're coming out of the woodworks. They haven't produced the thing themselves. We're producing it. We should know. Okay, well, we said, we got them table the bill. Now, yeah, it was significant. It didn't get in the news, but we knew we had done something significant. 3 of us joined together and formed a group called US Inventor, which I'm a very proud founder of. We formed it as a 501c4, so we could actually lobby in Washington. And we have lobbied in Washington quite a bit. I've been there, had all the platitudes I can handle, but in fact, we burned our patents in front of the patent office. I did lobby in front of the Supreme Court. We're trying to raise awareness. I've created unions of all the club leaders across the country, and it's still, everybody knows who's in the Super Bowl this weekend, but you don't know, your kids don't own the rights to their ideas anymore. We have to make this a bigger issue, and that's the whole point for this boycott that I am now really sponsoring and behind and putting my efforts in. There are videos out there. U.S. Inventor has pursued the path of trying to again convince those congressmen they made the wrong decision. I'm at odds at that path, but I applaud them and hope they can do it this year. They're actually making inroads. They have congressmen that are candidates that are actually using the inventors' rights as an issue on their campaigns. So it's at least starting some conversations. But I've seen administration after administration come and go. And by the time we have 4 or 5 congressmen supporting us, the administration changes. And that's not even 1% of Congress. So I wish U.S. Inventor luck. And I think it's time, though. And again, we have gotten some notice. Those are my friends from U.S. Inventor. And we had a congressman at the last meeting. UI Inventor had a great symposium a few months ago. And we were speakers for a few minutes and talked about these issues. And Congressman Lee came up and gave us a very nice award. The point is, though, it's still almost a secret in the nation that there's all these things that are hurting America. So I support U.S. Inventor. We support America. We want to see, that's interesting. Okay. We want to see our rights returned. You will be hearing about this on Friday. But to sum it up, I have written quite a bit about it recently, even publishing it, that these problems with efficient infringement, as it's called now, because without injunctive relief, somebody can infringe on you. You don't have to, they won't pay any damages. So in the boardroom, it's a term now. Let's just go knock them off because it's cheaper to pay our attorney to settle the case than to pay him royalties. Why are we buying untrustworthy IP if they can invalidate it 10 years down the road because they just wanted to? And I just say that simply because they put 3 judges on your case that have no technical expertise in your area. You don't get a chance to really have any jury. You get 30 minutes to defend what's been years of your life's work, and it's all still on defending what their objection was when they said it was obvious because they used broadest possible reviews. This has gotten to a point now with broadest possible reviews. When you file a claim, they look at all the prior art that's relative. With the new rulings now, they go well beyond that, and anything ever invented, they will try to find if there's a reference of some sort or another. So you find the most abstract, inconsequential things being brought up now is saying, this is why we're validating your patent. It's obvious because something that has nothing to do with it. It's nuts there. This has to end. We have to bring this back in. The new director wants to double.
If it's a government issued franchise, is that what you call it?
So now they can take it back.
Yeah. So the government can say it better serves the consuming public for larger corporation to do it instead of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Period.
And that's really all they have to say.
Yes.
Now,
They can say it that way. They can say, no, it's obvious. So this person who's filed this claim against you, they can go to market. Without being able to have a trust in that IP that's issued, why would investors back inventors anymore? There's a company now in India that uses some artificial intelligence to, in fact, data mine every patent, and they will do a survey for you to find out if your patent is patentable or if it's infringing somebody. $400. For $400, they will go back and find out all the information you need to invalidate any patent. What's the value of a patent now? If it's not even $400, trillions of dollars of IP can be destroyed now because the patent laws have changed. Congress has supported it. Supreme Court's backed it. It's gone this far off rails. So why buy the untrustworthy IP?
Oh, you can change it now. It's change the law.
Yeah. The abstract ideas. This is another issue. They changed the ruling on a 101. They made a ruling called you can't patent an abstract idea. They never defined what an abstract idea is, but they allowed that to mean that anything was software based that wasn't something man-made. This has been used to stop patents for MRI machines that were going to use artificial intelligence to be self-teaching so they can be better at diagnostics. The company in the US didn't get their patent. Where'd they go? China. China accepts all these patents. Here in the US, we don't issue patents for abstract ideas. I call that intellectual suicide. The whole private property thing, Okay, so, and then the director that they're putting in now to take over, she is the one that actually appoints these judges. So let's say you have a technology, she appoints judges that she knows are actually for the companies that want to infringe on you. They look at your patent going, no, we don't like it. They validate it, and then they go back to work for the company that is infringing you. It's almost as bad as these companies that they go in, they work for the FDA, they get a drug approved, then they go back and work for that company. Yikes. Okay. Yes, the US patent system's been corrupted, taken over, and I hope to change that by creating really a symbol. Hopefully it'll become symbolic, but this Friday I am calling for a boycott of the US patent system. I hope you all will keep your ideas trade secrets, because the advantages to trade secrets are that they're perpetual. There's no registration, no one's going to steal it, you can sell them. There's all sorts of these benefits. I'll explain those more to you on Friday. Stay tuned for that announcement. So guys, we're wrapping up. It's 8:20. We could talk a little bit. Next month, we're going to have Dr. Thaddeus give us a great lecture on how to make some really important videos that convey messages. But I love to open the floor, have a little discussion. We've got a couple minutes before we need to go. Chris or TK, I didn't even say hello. It's great to see you. And if you want to turn your mic on and say hi, we'd love to hear you. And
man, it is fantastic. Yeah, this is a great opportunity. I haven't, to hey, man, it's great to be here to at the meeting again. Yeah, I have my Wednesdays are free now, so that's a lot easier for me to get here. So, but yeah. Great work, Adrian. I got to tell you, man, just listening to you and reading the information, man, you guys are on top of it. It's amazing the work that you all are doing.
Thank you. Motivating, educating, and network inventors to become successful entrepreneurs. They create businesses and jobs here. That's the bottom line. That's the motive. Helping people avoid getting taken advantage of because they had a hope and dream. That's the other idea here, and bringing it to you as loud as we can. So thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. It used to be quite a joy, and I have to tell you, it has diminished so much, and it hurts my heart as an American, as a veteran, as an inventor. All these changes and the attitude and the shifts I've seen. I mean, yes, we have just recently gone through a huge traumatic experience here with the pandemic, and a lot of people are still crawling out of the rocks, but man, it's scarier than ever because a lot of them are coming out now with this new knowledge going, wow, is this really worth it? Should I just go straight to China?
Yeah.
That's what's scary part is so many inventors. I published something today on LinkedIn. It's there's a 2% dip in patent applications, regardless of the pandemic. There's been a dip in patent applications. So we've already seen people boycotting. I'm just trying to organize it more so it hopefully gets some attention. We apparently have one news station in New England on Friday that's going to help announce it. We'll see who else we get turned on to this thing by then. So anyway, shapes or form you can help actually get this out into the major news channels would be greatly appreciated. So,
all right. So, as you look at it right now, for the guy on the street like me, what's one thing I could do on Friday? What can I do on Friday? Is there
come to the Rotary Club and have
Yeah,
breakfast
yeah.
with them?
Yeah. No, but I posted. I actually got a lot of responses back from the Facebook posting I did a couple of weeks ago about that, and that and a quarter will get you a refill on a cup of coffee at the Waffle House down at the corner. Yeah, but the idea is somewhere somehow we've got to pick up. We haven't hit the nerve yet that the consuming public would jump on something and say, you know, how do we help?
We're less than 1% of the population.
Yeah.
So there's a minority of a minority and a subset. So the terminologies on all of this stuff is such legalese. I mean, it goes over your heads almost in an instant. That's why I'm about the word boycott. One, people understand boycott more than they understand patent. Boycott, something American. It's a universal term. It's a universal pain. It's a bipartisan issue. There is so much going for it. So it's not just an intellectual standpoint thing. And people have a wrong impressions about inventors. They don't understand. It's the guy down the street, you know, he puts something on the market and you're wondering why he has a boat and goes on a vacation so often. You know, it's a commonality of about 8,000 inventors a year actually bring a product to the market. On any year, there's about 30,000 people that are actively inventing, filing patents, is the number. So yes, we have to magnify their pain and their problems because that will amplify and go out through society. Our next generation of products, if we don't have creative people, you know, it's just going to stifle so much.
I asked a question, which I think it might be
What can we do?
at the tip of the iceberg, but what you can't see is what would be a benefit. All the research universities in the United States generate patents through their research. And they go into the intellectual property office at the university, and it sits there waiting for somebody to come along and
Technology
pull it
transfer.
out and do something with it. Does this set of activities also affect the value of those? I mean, are our research universities sitting on a pile of relatively useless information?
They
right
could be
now?
liabilities. They could be, because you know this is even though it's only a decade in the works, it's still becoming more popular and better known. So that's an excellent question to ask, and I will send it up my channels to find out, have we had any cases yet of universities that have found their licensed technology was in fact invalidated?
That's amazing. That's amazing source of revenue.
You're correct.
And see, and it's you want to tickle somebody and get them to pay attention. You tickle their wallet, all right, and you get them to. But I was thinking about that last week because you know Chad Hardaway, who you've met, is the intellectual property officer for USC. All right, so he's a lawyer, and he sits there, and everybody that's doing research and all the various partners have to bring him their work, and he runs it through the patent organization, through the patent activities. I'm just wondering if they are the benefactors of the PTABs, or are they a victim of the PTAB?
I would be at all surprised if they haven't in fact become aware of it and victims. Now, over 3,000 inventors have had patents invalidated. These aren't everyday tchotchke. Well, excuse me, it spans the gamut. Everything from a gal who was a world championship jump roper. She had a product making 100K a year royalties, was infringed. Found out that she lost her patent because of the new rules, all the way up to Dr. Stephen LaBeouf over here in North Carolina. He invented this wonderful technology that measures your heart pressure, blood pressure, for Fitbit devices like that. Apple knocked him off and he lost. They took his patents. It's undecided what he ended up getting paid for a royalty, but it's nowhere near market value. So, and the other inventions that are out there have won awards, cinematic awards for digital mixing of things. That go to usi.com if you're interested. There's now 30 videos. They're heart-wrenching, but of inventors that had their patents invalidated, and they tell the story and how absolutely ridiculous the charges against them were, how there was no defense against it, and no matter how much money they spent, they lost. And at the end, even if you win, only 16% have won. The only thing you win is to continue using the patent that you paid for. There's no damage to all of that suffering. So usi.org, usinventor.org, has done a great job in continuing to build their presence, and the value in there. I think those videos are so powerful. Take a look at some of those. So, well, gentlemen, Chris, did you have anything you wanted to comment or add for tonight?
No, not at this time. I really enjoyed it. I'll make sure I'm back every month. That's for sure.
And what do you do, Chris? You know, in Charleston?
I'm more like a customer service kind of person.
Okay.
For Berkeley Electric, the electric cooperative.
All right. Okay. And Adrian is, like I said, is a veteran, and he's an inventor and a marketer bringing it. I work for Midlands Technical College here in Columbia. We're a sister institution to Trident Tech down in Charleston.
Very good.
Well,
Hey, Tom, were you finished?
Yeah.
Hey, I know we want to get going, and I don't want to keep anybody, but you mentioned not Tom, Adrian. You mentioned something a few minutes ago that really caught my attention about going straight to China. What did that mean? What were you? What is that?
well, the Chinese actually copied our patent system a ways back. They have a system, but what they didn't copy are all the bad parts. So there's now incentives. Inventors are going to China because, frankly, you get a better patent. It's protected. The infringers are actually sued in China if you have a Chinese patent, and that's a huge, huge issue. They have a larger market than us, so you add it all up, you've got investors going to China, you have a larger market, and they'll actually protect the inventor's IP. Gee, guess what? Gosh, US, why don't we go back to the system we used to have that the Chinese copied? But the sad thing is, this is actually very prominent now. One of the things I suggest, and I will suggest Friday, another thing besides keeping a trade secret is a filing called a PCT. It's a document created by the Patent Cooperation Treaty, and it's a universal worldwide patent. It's actually it's sponsored by South Korea, and they have their own KPO, Korean Intellectual Property Organization, and it's just about as valid as the US Patent Office. The US Patent Office, after it implemented American Invents Act, it went from #1 in the world to 12th. So anyway, so one of the things I'm again suggesting, keep it a trade secret, or yes, go to file a PCT. Another advantage to a PCT, it's not just a 12-month provisional patent like you get here, it's a 30-month provisional, at the end of which you can file for any country you want, including still back here in the US. I used it for one of my latest patents as a strategy to, in fact, secure the IP, get it for 30 months, and then at the end of the 30 months, we filed it here in the US. So, but the number of inventors are going there, getting it manufactured, invested and manufactured, and taking advantage of their world market and channels is thousands of inventors in all kinds of products.
And you got China sitting there with the giant catcher's mitt saying, we'll catch anything you throw our way, and we'll help.
And then they're benefiting everything they're doing that we've not even talked about tonight, like child labor laws, pollution, and building the military. But that's for another night. So networking for inventors. I am so happy we are associated. I do hope that you found your local 1 Million Cups as a place to go present your startup or your new idea and to get feedback. As focus groups go, this is an excellent way for free for you to see what the instant reaction and help you might get from the community is your local 1 Million Cups. There's 160 of these. It's Kauffman Foundation has sponsored it, and it's very encouraging for entrepreneurs. Another great resource, because one of our, what do you call it? Local growing economy, one of our causes?
Yeah.
One of our causes.
Growing local economy.
Yeah, growing local economies. We found there is great interest in, because it's a sustainable way to grow new businesses is by having local people take the challenge and create a business. And so the more we can help them, the more they'll succeed at doing that. And raising waters rise all boats. So another great organization. So next month, I'll also talk about some other new tools that are coming out for inventors and innovators. And I want to again thank our supporters, Tom and Thaddeus, Daniel, Tim, thank you so much for being a supporter. Co-create, Brian's picture should be on there. Maybe it fell off, but Brian as well. And then our actual sponsors, people who actually written us a check. We're so proud and thank you so much. City of Columbia, in fact, gave us a grant we're so happy about. I've been happy to help sponsor it. Kehoe Constructors, Flight Deck Restaurant, our friend Ted up there is a great proponent and supports inventors. Boba Biscuits, my friend there in San Diego is David Waller. Burr Foreman is one of the best IP firms here in the South Carolina region. And our own friend here, Ted Ledbetter, is with Next Phase Management.
That's my company. Yeah. Mhm.
Sure. So, Tom, any last comments?
What we've seen, just as an enthusiastic ending point, I'm teaching entrepreneur class at again Kauffman Foundation Fast Track, which is entrepreneurial training. I have 42 students in the class that I've got going on right now, which is 12 more than the largest number we've ever had.
Wow.
And the precursor course to that, and Tim, you might be aware of this, is called Next Level, taught by Paul Smith over at Newberry. They capped it at 50 and have a waiting list of people to get into that course. So we're starting to see, I hope, a trend towards intentional self-employment as a career, for what they want to be doing. People are coming out of where they are with the intention of being in business for themselves. All right.
Indeed.
And some of them are carrying intellectual property with them.
Indeed.
All right. And that's going to be good for the inventors movement. Okay.
It's all that is very encouraging. Yes, the economy has rebounded in all recessions I've seen and lived through, and inventors have had to keep in a lot of that success, and I think they will in this wave as well, especially with the abilities now to come to the market so quickly and so rapidly.
Yeah.
It's a very even, flat earth in those regards. So, well, thank you for that encouraging closing statement, Tom. True. Because yes, America does depend on our ideas. Please support US Inventor. Look them up, usinventor.org. Keep those wheels spinning, and do please look for the announcement that'll be coming out. I'll make this as big and wide as I can on Friday, because Friday is National Inventors Day. All right. Thank you all so much.